can take it up. And let me share the book with you all. Let me just organize my book here. So I see there are new people here today, and good morning, everyone. Just as a reminder, please feel free to participate, share your thoughts, questions, experiences even. And this is not a lecture. This is really a study we would like to do very simple, very humble. And as a study, it's way better when we all participate if we can, all right? So we have stopped here on the item 11 last weekend. We are in the chapter Explanation of Physical Manifestation, chapter 4, and we will start today on the item 12. We can understand that highly evolved spirits do not concern themselves with matters that are well below them, but we would like to know if they would have the ability to do so if they wanted to, since they are more dematerialized. We have mentioned last weekend, and I think it was even MUNIR who brought that, saying that when we think high evolved spirits, not materialized spirits, there is a misconception sometimes that only low degree spirits can do physical manifestation, or at least that is the understanding of a lot of people. So let's see what they have to say here. They possess mental power as the others possess physical power. When they have need of the latter, they employ those who have it. Haven't we already stated that they use low order spirits in the same way that you employ porters? Let's finish that sentence and then we speak about that whole thing. We have already stated, we have already stated that density of the perispirit, if one may say so, varies according to the nature of the various worlds. It also seems to vary on the same world according to the different individuals. In morally advanced spirits, it is subtler and come closest to the perispirit of high order entities. On the other hand, in low order spirits, in low order spirits, it is closer to matter. And this is what causes the persistence of the illusions of earthly life in such spirits, to think and act as if they were still physically alive, possessing the same desires, we could almost say the same sensuality. So I will stop here, otherwise we will miss a few parts that I think is important. Okay, going back to the beginning where he says here, they possess mental power. Every spirit possesses mental power, right? Every incarnated and discarnated spirit possesses mental power. The degree of that mental power depends on how he learned how to use his mental power, how he developed himself or herself morally, and how he conduct this knowledge. Because we have to understand that everything follows exactly the same mechanism. There are laws in the universe. They are exactly the same. But how we're going to use those laws is what makes the difference to become evil or to become a good person. But the mechanisms of electricity, magnetism, fluid, they are exactly the same. They can be used to help, they can be used to harm. So I want you guys to have that in mind. right? So this is in regards to the mental power. When he says here, haven't we already stated that they use lower order spirits? We need to see the meaning of those words. We need to first remind ourselves that when we're talking about spirits, we're talking about not the perispirit, right? We're talking about the source, the light, the origin of our thoughts, of our feelings. Likewise, the origin of our thoughts, our feelings here when we are in the body is not our body, is it? No, it's not. It's our brain, like, isn't it? I think everybody agrees that the sentiment we felt, how it is processed, is in our brain. We know that the sentiment comes from another place beyond that, right? But just for a quickly understanding, it's not my hand that feel like I touched something hot. I touch something hot, the signal is sent to my brain, is processed, and then I understand I have touched something hot, right? When he mentioned he lower order spirits, I don't want everyone to think that only evil spirits are able to perform physical effects. That's not the meaning. Many people understand us, evil spirits, that conduct physical effects. No, it's not that. And when we move a little bit lower here on the test, he mentioned about perispirit. Why he mentioned about perispirit? Because as we, as eternal beings, as spirits, we evolve, our perispirits become lighter and lighter. So as we evolve too much, our perispirit is so light and so far away from the matter that cannot interact with matter. So they need spirits. They are closer to the matter, to our matter, to be able to interact with our matter. The process of physical effect has two parts, the spirit and the fluids from the medium. So if the spirit is so far away from us, he won't be able to interact with our fluids in the matter. So we need a spirit that's not too far away from where we are to interact with our fluid and then touch the matter, interact with the matter, all right? And let me see if there's anything else more here that we can talk about it.
Can I make a question?
Sure.
In this case, is using the question is about high level spirits. In this case, lower level spirits will be even a spirit that is above us. In this case, maybe above us, that in general, that could make this, help to make this work. So in a sense, high level spirits, and in relation to this high level spirits, a spirit that's above us and then us in general, thinking about incarnation, or even us as incarnated, we could consider, because we are incarnated, we need this physical body to evolve, and in that sense of not being bad in essence, but in relation, it is that case. It makes sense, or it's not that case.
Mm-hmm. Your sentences are correct, Daniel. And we need to think about fluids, right? We saw last week or a week before the concept of universal fluid, cosmic universal fluid. That's the origin of everything that we know as matter, right? Everything is fluid. If I want to interact with the fluid where I am, I need to have the fluid compatible with that fluid I want to turn. Otherwise, it will not turn. When he says here that spirits, even from other globes, they will not be able to interact with our matter because their perispirit, their matter is different than ours. I'm just trying to make things more complicated to, who knows, have you curious enough to try to learn about this subject perispirit and things like that beyond that study here, right? And if I want to interact in my physical world, what do I need? My body, right? Without my body, I will not be able to lift a glass of water. Wouldn't be possible, right? When I discarnated, how can I lift that glass of water if I lost my physical body? I will need to be a dense spirit, if I can use that word. Why I'm saying dense? Because my perispirit cannot be very light, has to be dense. And I will need to find a medium, an incarnated medium, to give me his fluid from his physical body, so I will be able to interact with the matter. Because in principle, to lift the glass of water, I need to have this matter. So the way the mechanism happens is a spirit with the knowledge to perform such phenomena will get the fluid from the medium, and then he will be able to interact with the glass of water. In that case, from the book here, with the tables, with the baskets and things like that. All right? But Daniel, pretty good. And sometimes the words, they are complicated to understand. They do not make sense sometimes. So we need to find simple words to try to explain what it really is, because it's not a big science. It is a science behind everything, but it's not like a rock science. Okay? This density of the perispirit, which lends it a greater affinity to matter, is what enables low order spirits to be more skillful at physical manifestation. I will highlight here low order again, because I want everyone to understand that low order doesn't mean evil, right? Let's expand it a little bit. We have spirits, good spirits, not so good spirits. Some people call them evil, right? If only the evil could perform physical effects, we would be living in a poltergeist every day, right? We would be seeing things flying around on the streets, at home, everywhere, every time, every day, every year, because there's a lot of low order, evil spirits. So we need to move away that low order from evil spirits, right? So I think that brings some questions, but feel free to do if you have any. But that's the way I see things. Low order spirits are more skillful at physical manifestation. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Guilherme. Hi, everyone again. Now, just a question for us to ask ourselves. Which order do we belong to? We know that there are, the main orders. We know, Perispirits as the first one. The second one are spirits of a, higher degree. In general, the earth is sort of in the middle of the third order. So we are low order spirits. I mean, most of us, I wouldn't say everyone, but
very good.
That means we are closer to matter than to, pure spirits. So when they say about low order spirits, they are talking about us. And the spirits who gave communication through the turning tables, for instance, to Kardec, they weren't, at least, you know, the ones we know, they weren't evil spirits. They were just ordinary people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them didn't even realize how they could do that, but they knew they did. The spirit talking to the Fox sisters, and you know. So when we talk about low order spirits, we think, you know, spirits very far away, you know, below us.
Very good, Munia. Very good. Good example. Good example.
Gil, it's Christine from Australia.
Oh, Christine.
Hi. So really we're saying there that low order, and perhaps that's just for the general, for general people to understand in the day, that they don't mean people who are evil or spirits that are evil, but those that aren't as that aren't as close to being high level spirits and closer to God, if you like. So that's why Kardec put it as low order, because he couldn't, well, this is the way I see it, that was the way the people of the time when he wrote the book would understand, because you have to write so people understand what you're saying. And low order doesn't mean evil, means spiritually not not high level, that you know how to make things appear or disappear, but that you're learning. So that's why he's put it in the context that he's put it in. That's my thought anyway. That's how I read that.
It is 100% right, Christine. And we have to remember that this book has been written in the 1800s, right? And at that particular time in Europe, we had the church, God, a couple of saints. Anything else was evil, right? That was the reality at the time, because God was the church. We'd chosen to select few people to become saints. Anyone else was evil. So yeah, you're totally right. He had to find a way to, not to shock, but to give a degree of evolution, if you like, to another class, another caste of spirits able to do it. Because he could have used the word evil here too, isn't it? And he did not. So you're totally right. Just giving you an example and how that is 100% what you said, Christine. We interact with some spirits back in my country or even here, and they used to be part of physical effects meetings. And they are not evil at all. They are, by the way, they are way more evolved than I am. So when I see things like that and I've started to compare, how does it make sense, low order, if those spirits are doing things that are way above my capacity, way above my evolution, if you like? So yeah, we need to understand the context of what he's trying to bring to us, and eventually go deeper like we are doing here in a word or another, so that it starts to make more sense to all of us. I think that's the beauty of a study together, because then we start to share impressions, share opinions, and perhaps on the end of the day, we come with a different idea altogether. Hi, Charles. Good morning. Your mic's closed, Charles.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My first remark is this paragraph is missing. In the original, it's written note. So this paragraph is written by Kardec. It's not the answer of the Spirit of St. Louis. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, according to this low order definition and so on, just above, Kardec is writing in italics, in morally advanced spirits, that is where the perispirit is subtler. Okay, so he gives a criteria. It has to be not intellectually advanced, but morally advanced.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So that was Kardec's comment. Mm-hmm. So he was evaluating what has been brought by the Spirit. Very good. It is similar to why a refined person with a fragile and delicate body and who is used to intellectual endeavors cannot lift heavy load like a porter can. The matter of his or her body is somewhat less compact. The organs are less resilient and the neural fluids is less intense. The perispirit is for the spirit what the body is for the individual. Its density results from the less purified nature of the spirit. Hence, its density replaces muscular strength, i.e., it gives it greater power over the fluids needed for this type of manifestation than a spirit of a more ethereal nature possesses. If a more evolved spirit wants to produce such effect, it does what frail persons among us would do. It employs a spirit of the trade. And it does make sense, right? So it's basically what we have spoken here with nice words.
I think it's Christine again. I think what he's trying to do is make sure that in several different ways he's tried to put it so that people understand at the end of the day that he's not being, he's not putting anybody down. He's not saying, he's not talking about evil. He's making that very clear. He's saying that the skill of the spirit, it comes down to the level of understanding of the spirit as to, and he's thinking of that in terms of the strength of a porter. So he's trying to connect it and say, this is what I'm trying to say. And he said it several times, but several different ways.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. If we correctly understand what you have said, the vital principle lies in the universal fluid. The spirit, just make a quick comment here. Everything we know is derived from the universal fluid. Every mediumistic phenomena derives from the perispirit. So universal fluids and perispirits are topics. They are worthy of our attention and study. So may not be very easy to find those information in English. I'm not sure, but it's something that I would suggest people to try to find information. The perispirit draws the semi-material envelope that comprises its perispirit from this fluid. And it is through this fluid that it acts upon inert matter. Is this so? So let's first work on the question, right? The perispirits draw the semi-material envelope that comprises its spirits from this fluid. So the perispirit is made of fluid. It's a semi-material fluid. So we can say that is a lighter degree of the fluid, right? Like air, like when we boil the water, it becomes light, becomes gas, right? Sorry. And it is through this fluid that acts upon inert matter. So it's the fluid from the perispirit that acts on the matter. So that's the question. Yes, it means that it means that animates matter with a sort of artificial life. Matter becomes infused with animal life. On the end, we'll come back and comment here again. The table that moves under your hands is alive with animal-like life and obey the intelligent being itself. The spirit itself does not push the table as if it were some kind of physical load. And when the table rises into the air, the spirit is not lifting it with arms. Instead, the animated table obeys the impulse given to it by the spirit. So let's go back to the beginning of that sentence. From where the animal life is coming from? From where the fluid that gives animal life is coming from? Do you have any idea?
From the medium?
From the medium. For one or more mediums. So the animal fluid that the spirit will use to move an object is coming from the medium, right? So he says here that the spirit does not go under the table lifting the table. Says that he will use the fluid from the mediums and his will to lift the table, all right? 14. What role does the medium play in this phenomenon? I have already said that the medium's own fluid is combined with universal fluid accumulated by the spirit. The uniting of both the animalized and universal fluids is required in order to endow the table with life. However, you must not forget that this life is only momentary. It stops with the cessation of the fluid's action and often before the process is fully completed. As soon as the amount of fluids is no longer sufficient to animate the table. Okay, so here we go again. Medium's own fluid combined with universal fluid accumulated by the spirits. We need to think about a recipe here, right? When we want to make a cake, let's think about a tea cake. What do we need? Flour, milk, sometimes a bit of salt, sugar. So to make the teapot, you have to have what on the teapot? Tea, boiling water, sometimes sugar or whatever. So it's very much the same. We mix more than one product to be able to move the objects. The spirits to move the object need to use more than one fluid, if you like, okay?
Guilherme.
Yep.
One question. I understand the medium's own fluid. I know that some mediums have it and some mediums have different kind of fluid. But when they say the fluid accumulated by the spirit, universal fluid, so that means that some spirits, I assume that every spirit can accumulate the universal fluid, or does it have difference between spirits, how much they can accumulate of the universal fluid?
You're going deeper and deeper. That's very nice. First, we need to understand that our physical body is an accumulation of the universal fluid, right? So our physical body is a very good example of how universal fluid is accumulated. Likewise, the perispirit for the spirit is also an accumulation of the universal fluid. On top of that, he also can get fluid from mediums, animals, nature, and else. So the key point is to be able to produce such phenomena, first of all, you need to know. Otherwise, your cake will never happen, right? If you don't know how to mix the right proportion of each product you need, you're not gonna have a cake on the end. For the spirit, it's exactly the same. He will get the animal fluid from the spirit, from the medium. He will get fluids from his own perispirit. He can get fluids from animals, vegetables, and knowing how to mix the proportion of all of it, he will surround the object with that fluid, and then with his will and knowledge, he'll be able to perform such phenomena, right? Talking about now different fluids from different mediums and different spirits. Everyone has different fluids. The fluids are a consequence of what we are. The fluids are a consequence of our choices too. So there isn't a single medium that have exactly the same fluid as the other one because of his path, because of his choices, because of his own characteristics. That's why we don't have so many mediums capable of donate fluid in abundance enough to have such phenomena. The spirits is the same. The fluids, they are required for the spirit to perform their activity we saw here today, that cannot be from a very evolved spirit, because his fluid will be so light that won't be good enough to produce such phenomena. He will need the assistance of a spirit that has a fluid not so light to be able to interact with the other fluids and to move the matter. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yeah, it's true, like very. I just put like, it's like a footprint. I mean, I like a fingerprint. Every person has different fluids. Like, okay, thank you. Thank you.
It is a fingerprint. It's an energetic fingerprint.
Yeah,
that is the result of our actions, our choices, what we are. Hi, Munir. Help me here, Munir.
Okay. In fact, I just want to add some questions here to try to understand it better. We can understand that animalized or animal fluids, they come from living beings in general. I'm not talking about the qualities of this animal fluid, but the animal fluid comes from living beings in the physical world. Yeah? Yes. Can we say that?
Yes.
Okay. And when we think in terms of, because Kardec, he didn't mention directly, but we can understand, and when he talks about he mixed the animalized fluid, he had referred to the medium, and then with the fluids, from the perispirit of that particular spirit. And the question is, we know that it's necessary to have a special type of mediumship to be able then to donate these animalized fluids, but we all have. We all have. The question is, the medium has this, and in some way has this capacity of donating the fluids for the phenomenon to take place. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Every, sorry guys for today, I'm coughing too much. Every human being can donate this fluid. The intensity, the volume of what he can donate is that what makes the difference.
Can I ask a question? You know, we are talking about animal fluid. But the more we talk about animal fluid, the more I think that this is related with the vital principle, because we are all incarnated and we need to have this in order to animate our bodies, isn't it? So is that related to this vital principle when you talk about animal fluid? And then, you know, is it also related to our magnetic, you know, capabilities? And that's why, you know, these mediums, I don't know. It's kind of a little bit, you know, I just want to put things together a bit to understand. Thank you.
It is related to the life fluid, right? But when we refer to the life fluid, many people will think, I will not donate my life fluid, otherwise I will die earlier. I'm not going to give what I need, right? So that's why we don't make a direct reference to that. We know that everything we donate, we compensate that. It is compensated after the event, after the phenomenon, right? The life fluid is also, we can also say, is a derivation of universal fluid. Everything we know comes from the universal fluid. And as it will be mixed to A, B, C, D, we'll have different characteristics. Can become water, can become mineral, can become our body, can become anything else. And our vital fluid, our life fluid, vital fluid, is also a derivation from the universal fluid. This fluid is what gives us, this fluid is what animates our physical body. And fair to say that when we die is when our fluid is no longer there, right? So when we are facing this phenomena, I prefer not to say that we are giving our vital fluid. I prefer that I'm donating my ectoplasm, I'm donating my energy, and then it becomes a bit easier to be understood among our friends.
So what you said, based on what you said, could I understand that for you to give the animal fluids to enable the spirits to, you know, as a medium, to enable the spirits to produce such a phenomena, there are lots of things, lots of energy, lots of fluids that are together related to be able to produce that, not only things that comes from our vital fluid. Is that there is just a little bit more mixed up there than only like the vital principle, the life fluid, as you said?
I would say yes, to make easier comprehension of everyone. It's a mix of what our energies are, and then donate that energy.
Okay.
All right. And when we were talking about animal fluids, Kardec did not mention here animal fluids from animals or any other beings. But if we carry on from Kardec's studies, work, and do research, we will find also serious people bringing complementary knowledge about how that works. And we have several books describing by the spirits how the phenomena really exists there are institutions, well, a couple of years ago, we still had in Frei Luis, physical effects almost every day until Gilberto Rocha passed away. So they explain how it works. They give a complementary information to what is there, all right? Where did I stop? 15. Can a spirit act without resorting to a medium? Now you will be scared. It can act without the medium being aware of it. So that means, in other words, many persons help spirits to produce certain phenomena without even suspecting it. These persons are like fountains from which spirits draw the animal fluid they need. Consequently, the conscious participation of a medium, as you know, is not always necessary, especially with the spontaneous phenomena. Oh dear, I need to keep my light open, my light switched on tonight. Because now, yeah?
But do they need to be nearby? Because could the person be like on the other street where the phenomena happen?
You really don't want to sleep tonight, do you? Don't need to be next door. Don't need to be next door. Right? Fluids. That's why it's very important to understand it, to study fluids. Fluids can be moved to a large, very large distance by the spirits. They have means to collect the fluid from a large distance to be used elsewhere. They have means to accumulate the fluids to be used when they are also required. So if we believe that I need to have a medium here, arm by arm, it's not exactly like that. It will help, of course. It's less effort, right? If I'm next to someone that has that capacity, it's way better to me and to the spirits to make it happen. He needs less technology, he needs less knowledge to do it. But in the absence of that person, shoulder to shoulder, if the phenomena has to happen for some reason, yes, we don't need to be side by side. And when we're talking about phenomena, the great majority of people who think about poltergeist, raps in my home, things breaking, pans, glasses, windows, whatever. But that phenomena can be used for so many other different things. To help people, to cure, to treat, to re-energize the person, to clean the environment. There are so many applications for that phenomenon, right? And not necessarily we need to have a medium in that room. But that is a subject for another day, right?
Thank you.
Can I just make a question?
Sure.
It is in that scenario that maybe some of the events of the moving tables in different places have happened. People were eventually unaware that they were there donating fluids, and the moving tables have happened. I'm imagining at the beginning on some situations where you did not have a setup. I need a medium here to make this happen, but they were happening. Do you think that it's more or less like this, that some of these events have happened in the past?
It is a possibility, Daniel. It is a possibility. At that time, mediums of physical effects, they were more in abundance than today, right? Like the automatic mediums, mechanical mediums, they were more in abundance than what they are today. But it is a possibility. It is really a possibility. MUNIR?
Just to mention, Guilherme, that in some cases, it's been related that in the group of medium, when one or two people were absent, the phenomena weren't so strong, showing clearly, identify who were the ones who could actually donate more fluids than the others. And I can remember, I read that not too long ago,
I believe a greater phenomena, you need the medium closer. But there are other minor phenomena that you don't need to have a medium that close. If we're talking about someone levitating, probably is the medium himself. If you're talking about lifting 100 kilograms table, I need someone closer. If I'm talking about 3 kilograms table, I may not need someone that close, So there's not a single rule. That's why I said it is a possibility.
I was going to say that, we can't generalize. And sometimes Kardec gives just a general picture, not saying that this is impossible or it happens only this way. It's just to show that depending on the circumstances and the phenomena we are talking about, it can be done this way or that way. It's possible. Yes, it's possible. Is it often? No, it's not often because of this or because of that.
Exploding a little bit the subject. Let's think about healing from distance.
Yeah.
That's a primary example. Face-to-face is better? Yes, it is better. If you're talking about a medium, healing medium, it's better to be face-to-face. Why is that? You donate from a glass to another straight away. You're not packing that glass of water, putting a bubble wrap, sending by mail to arrive at a distance, and then the person needs to unwrap the thing and drink the water. It's not like that, right? So if we want to have a comparison, it's pretty much a good example. Does it work?
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to mention another example, which is radioactive material used in medicine. Ideally, you should produce close to the hospital where you're going to use. But it is possible to bring from another country if you have the whole structure, to pack it properly, to carry, the time of the flight and everything else. You can come from, one continent to another and be used. But ideally, you should have the facility next to the hospital.
Very good example, too. I like that. Does the animated table act with intelligence? Does it think? The object does not think. It is like a walking stick that you might use to make an intelligent signal to someone. The vitality that animates it enables to obey the impulse of the intelligence behind it. You should realize that the moving table does not become a spirit, and it has neither thought nor will. So we need to have an intelligent being giving the instruction of what to say, what to write, where to move. Otherwise, not going to happen. All right? What is the preponderant cause in the production of this phenomenon? The spirit itself or the fluid? Very nice question. And that's why I love Kardec. He makes questions that make us think. What is the preponderant cause of the production of this phenomenon? The spirit or the fluid? The spirit is the cause and the fluid is its instrument. But look at the answer from the spirit. Both are required. Both are required. When we talk about spirit, once again, just to give you an additional incentive, I'm not talking about perispirit, right? So the cause is the spirit. In this case, what role does the medium will play? To call upon the spirits and to aid them in giving impulse to the fluid. Pay attention to the answer. To call upon the spirits and to aid them to giving impulse. Is the medium's will always indispensable? It increases the potency, but is not always necessary, since a movement may occur in spite of or contrary to the medium's will. Further proof for the existence of an independent cause. So, if we do have the knowledge that we possess, that characteristics, we may increase the power of the phenomena. Likewise, when we do a prayer, when we do a healing, and we know we have a little bit of knowledge of fluids, distance, how it works, will, we may increase the power of our prayer, of our healing. It is not always even necessary for the hands to come in contact with the object in order for it to move. Let me throw a spanner here, so you guys can think a little. Let's thinking about here, we're going to the Spiritist Center, and we've been told from day one that when we do healing, we only put our hands above the person receiving the healing. We cannot touch the person receiving the healing. What if I touch? Am I increasing the potency of the fluid transfer? I will not answer that. It's just to make you guys think. Am I helping to transfer that fluid? And then many people say, Jesus only put the hand. Come on, we're talking about Jesus. He did not even need to be there in the first place, right? We're talking about normal beings, earth to earth like, you know? So I'll leave that with you guys so you can think. Almost always, all that they are needed for is to provide the initial impulse. But after the object has been animated, it can obey the will without any physical contact. So what he's saying here is that before the table starts, you touch the table to give a kick on the table to move. And then after you can remove your hands. Of course, this depends on the power of the medium or the nature of the spirits involved. Moreover, even the first contact is not always needed. We have proof of this in the spontaneous movements and dislocations that no one even thought about causing. They had an enormous amount of reports saying that things start to fly around. They start to making noises, and they didn't even know there were mediums there, much less touching the object. And that happens anyway. But I want to get your attention to something here. Nature of the spirits, nature of the mediums involved, right? Why I'm saying that? We don't want us to think that I will make an exercise today. I'm gonna move my glass of water. Nothing's going to move. Perhaps I don't have what is needed. Perhaps the spirits that are here with me they don't have what is needed, right? So it's a combination of factors to make it happen. And more important, I particularly don't believe a phenomena like that happens without any reason. Quite often, when we had those, my time is about to expire, but let me finish with that anyway. Let me finish here. I don't believe any phenomena like that happens in the past without a reason for it. Why we had so many tables turning at that time? To get our attention, to get someone clever enough to compile what we have today. Why we have things happening in that house in particular, things falling, cracking, whatever. Perhaps is to get attention of that person that something needs to change. Something has to click to allow them to know they have their characteristics and how to use their characteristics afterwards. So I don't believe that on earth things happen by chance, not at all. So if you had some phenomena like that, if you witness some phenomena like that, or when you arrive in a place, things start to falling, that is to get your attention to something. So I would say, if we see something like that, if we know something like that, I would suggest it's a perfect timing to start to evaluate why that's happening. Why with me? Why in that place? What is this phenomena trying to tell me, trying to teach me? All right. So what time is it? That's it for today. That was a very good study for us, I guess. Was for me. I like it. So I'd like to thank you all. And next week, we'll be together again. And just